For centuries, they've hidden the truth about Jesus' missing years. Stories of secret travels, forbidden teachings, and encounters with ancient cultures that could change everything we thought we knew about his life. In the story of Jesus Christ, one question has lingered for centuries. What happened between his appearance in the temple at age 12 and the beginning of his ministry nearly 2 decades later? The Gospels, which provide extensive details about his birth, teachings, and miracles, are notably silent about this crucial period. These lost years represent one of the greatest historical and theological enigmas, sparking theories that stretch across continents and traditions. Imagine a time when the child who confounded scholars in the temple grew into the man who would inspire billions. What experiences shaped him during those years? Could he have lived an ordinary life, or was he preparing in ways the world has yet to understand? This gap in the biblical record invites endless curiosity and speculation. Some suggest he stayed in Nazareth, living quietly, while others believe he embarked on travels that took him to distant lands, gaining wisdom from cultures far beyond his own. This video explores the untold stories, ancient traditions, and controversial claims surrounding this mysterious chapter of Jesus' life. What if he journeyed to India, studying alongside spiritual leaders of the East? Could he have traveled to Egypt, immersing himself in mystical practices? Perhaps he ventured to regions even more unexpected. These are not merely questions of historical curiosity, but pathways into understanding how Jesus, a figure central to history, may have become who he was. The lack of definitive information on this period has encouraged speculation that ranges from scholarly to imaginative. Ancient texts outside the canon, oral traditions from far-flung places, and modern interpretations all paint fascinating pictures of what might have transpired. Whether you are a believer seeking spiritual insight or a historian curious about the missing pieces, this mystery holds something for everyone. But why does this matter today? The so-called lost years touch on universal questions about preparation, identity, and purpose. How does a person develop the wisdom and courage to reshape the world? What lessons might be hidden in this silent period of history? These are themes that resonate far beyond theology, drawing viewers from all walks of life into one of the greatest mysteries of our time. As we embark on this journey, expect to hear about surprising claims, from alleged records of Jesus in ancient temples to whispers of his presence in places as distant as Britain. Some theories will challenge your perceptions, while others may deepen your understanding of faith and history. Stay tuned for revelations that will keep you questioning long after the video ends. If you're captivated by unraveling mysteries, seeking fresh perspectives, or simply curious about the hidden chapters of one of history's most remarkable lives, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you won't miss out on more content that dives into history's unanswered questions, thought-provoking ideas, and timeless stories. Let us guide you through the evidence, legends, and controversies that surround the lost years of Jesus, stories that will intrigue your mind and ignite your imagination. The Bible, revered as both a spiritual guide and a historical document, provides meticulous details about key events in the life of Jesus Christ. His miraculous birth in Bethlehem, his baptism by John, and the remarkable moments of his ministry are vividly chronicled. Yet, despite its depth and scope, the New Testament is strikingly silent on an 18-year period of his life. To understand the intrigue surrounding these lost years, it's essential to begin with the limited information the Gospels do provide. The Gospel of Luke is the only biblical account that offers a glimpse into Jesus' life as a child. In chapter 2, verses 41 to 52, we are told of a 12-year-old Jesus accompanying his parents, Mary and Joseph, to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. This was a customary pilgrimage for Jewish families, reflecting their devout adherence to tradition. On their return journey, Mary and Joseph realized that Jesus was not among the traveling group. After 3 days of frantic searching, they found him in the temple, seated among the teachers, listening and asking questions. The reaction of those in the temple is notable. They were astonished at his understanding and answers. Even at this young age, Jesus displayed a profound grasp of spiritual matters, far beyond his years. When his mother expressed her worry, Jesus responded with the now famous words, "Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" Luke 2, verse 49 NIV. This statement hints at a deep self-awareness of his identity and purpose, even in his youth. However, following this remarkable episode, the narrative shifts abruptly. Luke concludes the chapter by noting that Jesus returned to Nazareth with his parents and was obedient to them, growing in wisdom and stature and finding favor with God and people. From this point, the Gospels provide no further details about his life until his baptism by John in the Jordan River, an event that marks the beginning of his public ministry. This sudden narrative silence leaves readers with more questions than answers. The gap between Jesus' adolescence and adulthood is not a minor oversight, but a conspicuous absence in the Gospel accounts. It is an absence that has puzzled theologians and historians for centuries. Why would the writers of the Gospels, who were meticulous in recording the events of his ministry, omit nearly 2 decades of his life? Was it because these years were uneventful, spent in the ordinary routines of life in Nazareth? Or were they deliberately excluded for reasons we may never fully understand? To add to the mystery, the historical documentation of this period outside the Bible is equally sparse. Ancient writers, both religious and secular, have left little to no records that shed light on Jesus' activities during these years. The historian Josephus, whose works provide valuable insights into first-century Judea, makes no mention of Jesus' early life beyond the gospel narratives. This lack of corroborative evidence has fueled centuries of speculation and debate. The silence is particularly striking given the cultural and religious context of the time. In Jewish tradition, a boy would transition into adulthood through significant milestones, such as the bar mitzvah, and would likely be apprenticed in a trade or occupation. It is widely assumed that Jesus, like his earthly father Joseph, was a carpenter. This assumption is based on references in the Gospels that identify Jesus as the carpenter's son and, in one instance, simply as the carpenter. Mark 6, verse 3, Matthew 13, verse 55. However, the specifics of his daily life remain entirely unrecorded. This gap in the narrative is not unique to Jesus. Ancient biographical works often focus on the most impactful periods of a subject's life, omitting what was considered mundane or irrelevant. In this sense, the Gospels follow a similar pattern, emphasizing the divine mission and teachings of Jesus, while leaving out details that may not have been seen as essential to his spiritual narrative. Yet, for modern readers, this silence has the opposite effect. It ignites curiosity and opens the door to endless interpretation. The absence of information about these years has led some to suggest that this silence was intentional, a way of preserving the sacred mystery of Jesus' life. Others view it as a lost opportunity, a missing piece of the puzzle that could offer valuable insights into his humanity and the journey that prepared him for his extraordinary mission. Theories about these years range from the mundane to the fantastical, each attempting to fill the void left by the biblical and historical record. While the Gospels do not elaborate on these years, the context they provide offers a framework for speculation. Jesus was born into a Jewish family in the small village of Nazareth, a rural and relatively obscure community in Galilee. He would have grown up under the Roman occupation of Judea, a time of political unrest and social tension. His upbringing would likely have included regular attendance at synagogue, participation in Jewish festivals, and education in the Torah. These elements, though assumed, are consistent with the cultural practices of first-century Jews. Some scholars suggest that Jesus' knowledge of Scripture and his ability to teach with authority, as evidenced later in his ministry, point to a formal education beyond the average Jewish boy of his time. This raises the possibility that he studied under a rabbi or joined a religious sect, such as the Essenes, known for their rigorous study and ascetic lifestyle. However, these theories remain speculative, as no definitive evidence supports them. The historical gap also leaves room for more imaginative interpretations. Over the centuries, various apocryphal texts and legends have emerged, claiming to reveal hidden details about Jesus' life during this time. These stories, while not considered canonical by mainstream Christianity, have added to the rich tapestry of speculation surrounding the lost years. In exploring this historical silence, it becomes clear that the absence of detail is as significant as the details themselves. It invites readers and believers to reflect on what it means for Jesus to have experienced this period of life outside the public eye. Did he live as an ordinary young man, working, learning, and preparing in ways that were unremarkable to those around him? Or was this a time of divine preparation, filled with experiences that shaped his mission and message? The lack of historical documentation also highlights the limitations of our understanding. Despite advances in archaeology, textual analysis, and historical research, the lost years of Jesus remain an enigma. This mystery challenges us to consider not only the gaps in the narrative, but also the broader questions of faith, identity, and purpose. It is a reminder that the story of Jesus is not confined to what is written, but extends into the realm of the unknown, where the imagination and the spirit are free to explore. As we delve into the theories and traditions that attempt to fill this gap, it is essential to approach the topic with an open mind. The lost years of Jesus are not merely a historical curiosity. They are a window into the human and divine aspects of his life, a period that invites us to ponder the intersection of the ordinary and the extraordinary. Whether seen as a silence that preserves mystery or a void that demands explanation, these years hold a unique place in the story of Jesus, offering endless possibilities for exploration and discovery. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share with loved ones. The most widely accepted explanation for the lost years of Jesus, particularly within traditional Christian thought, is that he lived a relatively quiet and ordinary life in Nazareth, a small village in the region of Galilee. This interpretation is rooted in the Gospels themselves, which, while not explicitly detailing these years, provide glimpses into Jesus' upbringing and environment that suggest he remained close to his family and community during this time. Nazareth, during the first century, was a modest village with a population estimated to be no more than a few hundred people. Its economy was primarily agrarian, with families relying on farming, small-scale trades, and seasonal labor to sustain themselves. Jesus, being the son of Joseph, a carpenter, would have likely followed in his father's footsteps, learning the trade and contributing to the family's livelihood. The Greek term used in the Gospels, tekton, is often translated as carpenter, though it could more broadly refer to a craftsman or builder. This suggests that Jesus might have worked with wood, stone, or both, reflecting the practical demands of the region. The Gospels emphasize Jesus' obedience to his parents, and this aspect of his character likely extended into his young adulthood. In a traditional Jewish household, honoring one's parents was not only a familial duty, but also a commandment deeply ingrained in religious practice. By working as a carpenter, Jesus would have fulfilled societal expectations, contributing to his family's well-being and demonstrating humility through labor. This portrayal aligns with the broader Christian emphasis on Jesus' humanity, highlighting his connection to the daily struggles and responsibilities of ordinary people. Understanding the cultural and religious context of first-century Judaism offers further insight into how Jesus' early adulthood might have been shaped. Jewish life during this period revolved around adherence to the Torah, participation in religious festivals, and engagement with the local synagogue. As a devout Jew, Jesus would have been immersed in these practices, which likely played a central role in his development. One of the key aspects of Jewish life was the Sabbath, a day of rest and worship observed weekly. This rhythm of life would have instilled in Jesus a deep respect for communal worship and spiritual reflection. Additionally, annual pilgrimages to Jerusalem for festivals such as Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot were common among Jewish families. These journeys not only reinforce religious identity, but also expose individuals to broader cultural and theological influences, as pilgrims from various regions gathered in the Holy City. Education, though not formalized in the way we understand it today, was another significant aspect of Jewish upbringing. Boys were typically taught to read and recite the Torah, with instruction often taking place in the synagogue or under the guidance of a local teacher. This early exposure to Scripture would have laid the foundation for Jesus' profound knowledge of Jewish law and prophecy, as demonstrated later in his ministry. His ability to engage with religious leaders, as seen during his visit to the temple at age 12, suggests that he continued to study and reflect on the Scriptures throughout his youth and early adulthood. For traditional Christian thinkers, the lost years of Jesus are often viewed as a time of spiritual preparation. While the Gospels remain silent on specific events, they emphasize his growth in wisdom, stature, and favor with God and humanity. This portrayal suggests that his experiences during these years, though unremarkable by worldly standards, were essential in shaping his character and mission. The notion of spiritual growth through ordinary life resonates deeply within Christian theology. By living as an ordinary Jewish man in a rural community, Jesus demonstrated solidarity with humanity, experiencing the challenges, joys, and routines that define everyday existence. This perspective emphasizes the idea that divine purpose is not limited to extraordinary events, but is often revealed through the quiet faithfulness of daily life. One aspect of this preparation might have been Jesus' interactions with his neighbors and extended community. In a close-knit village like Nazareth, relationships were likely intimate and enduring. Jesus would have participated in communal gatherings, shared meals, and worked alongside others in the fields or workshop. These interactions would have deepened his understanding of human nature, compassion, and the struggles of the marginalized, qualities that later defined his ministry. While the canonical Gospels remain silent on the details of Jesus' lost years, early Christian writers and apocryphal texts offer tantalizing glimpses, though their historical reliability is often questioned. These writings, though not considered authoritative within mainstream Christianity, reflect the desire of early believers to fill the gaps in the narrative and explore the hidden dimensions of Jesus' life. One such text is the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, an apocryphal work that describes miraculous events from Jesus' childhood and early youth. Although its stories are highly embellished and lack historical corroboration, they provide a window into how early Christian communities envisioned Jesus' formative years. The text portrays a young Jesus performing miracles, displaying divine knowledge, and engaging in debates with adults, traits that foreshadow his later ministry. The Gospel of James, another apocryphal text, focuses more on the life of Mary and the early years of Jesus. While it does not directly address the lost years, it emphasizes the holiness and uniqueness of Jesus' upbringing, reinforcing the idea that his childhood and adolescence were marked by divine purpose. Some early church fathers, including Irenaeus and Clement of Alexandria, also speculated on Jesus' life before his ministry. While their writings are more theological than biographical, they suggest that Jesus' silence during these years was intentional, a period of preparation and growth necessary for the fulfillment of his mission. This perspective aligns with the broader Christian understanding of Jesus as fully human and fully divine, experiencing life stages as any other person would. The environment of Nazareth itself may have played a significant role in shaping Jesus' perspectives and teachings. Located in Galilee, Nazareth was a small village surrounded by larger cities and trade routes. This proximity to cultural and economic hubs such as Sepphoris and Tiberias would have exposed Jesus to diverse influences, including Roman culture, Hellenistic ideas, and the tensions between Jewish tradition and external pressures. The socio-political climate of Galilee during this period was marked by Roman occupation, economic inequality, and social unrest. These conditions likely influenced Jesus' later emphasis on justice, mercy, and the kingdom of God as a transformative vision for society. Living among the working class and the poor, Jesus would have witnessed firsthand the struggles of ordinary people, shaping his compassion for the marginalized and his critique of religious and political systems. Moreover, the rural setting of Nazareth provided a rich tapestry of imagery that Jesus later used in his parables and teachings. References to agriculture, shepherding, and household management reflect the everyday realities of life in a village like Nazareth. These familiar metaphors made his message accessible to his audience, bridging the gap between the divine and the human experience. For many traditional Christians, the silence surrounding Jesus' lost years is not a gap to be filled, but a profound theological statement. This perspective views the absence of detail as intentional, emphasizing the mystery of the Incarnation, the belief that God became fully human in Jesus. By living an ordinary life, Jesus sanctified the mundane, demonstrating that every stage of life holds divine significance. This silence also invites believers to reflect on their own spiritual journeys. Just as Jesus' preparation was hidden from public view, so too are the moments of growth and transformation that define individual lives. This perspective encourages faith in God's unseen work, trusting that even the quiet seasons of life are part of a larger divine plan. In exploring traditional explanations for Jesus' lost years, we encounter a narrative that is both simple and profound. A young man living in obedience, growing in wisdom, and quietly preparing for a mission that would change the world. This interpretation, while rooted in the ordinary, offers a glimpse into the extraordinary mystery of God's presence in human history. If you've followed us this far, it means you've gained meaningful insight from this historical content. Kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so as not to miss out on any of our upcoming narratives on various topics like this.